Very good afternoon to one and all present here. So, today we are here for the national seminar on science and literature. So, today we have with us Mr. Vimal Singh Gohil. And to welcome him, I would like to invite Dr. Dilip Barar sir to share a few words.
So, dear paper presenters, today for chairing this session, we have invited Principal Dr. Vimal Singh Gohil, who was earlier working with Engineering College and now recently has joined as Principal to Sir P.P. Science College. So, sir, we very warmly welcome you for sparing time and chairing this session also. This is quite a multidisciplinary seminar. So, the speakers as well as chairpersons also from science, commerce, management and all the variety of subjects we have invited. So, he is representing science discipline and he will be evaluating and judging the presentations which are made here. Sir, we again very warmly welcome you here on this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. First and foremost, we have Parthiv Solanki. So, he will present on the literature of artificial intelligence and the post-human imagination, empathetic machines in Kazuo Ishiguro, the Clara and the Sun. So, Parthiv Solanki.
So hello everyone, today my research paper presentation topic is the literature of the artificial intelligence and the post-human imagination, empathetic machine in the Kazuo Ishiguro's novel Clara and the Sun. Table of content. Research question, how does the Clara and the Sun Kazuo Ishiguro represent the artificial intelligence as the capable of the empathy and emotion understanding? And second is in what way does the character Clara and the Sun, traditional human centers definition the consciousness of the identity? Third one is, how does the novel reflect the key idea post-human theory proposed the Rosie Berotis and Catherine Helens and Donna Haraway? How does the narrative explore the ethical relation between the human and intelligence? Machine is the technological mediated society. And last one, what does the novel suggest about the future of the human AI existence and transform the human identity in the post-human worlds? And research hypothesis, this study emphasizes the Clara and the Sun represent artificial intelligence in the connected with the emotion and is the future of the how the character learn robot is from the humans in society. And the theory are apply in this case. Abstract. This study examines the relationship between the artificial intelligence, empathy, and post-human identity in the Clara and the Sun, Kazuo Ishiguro's. This novel, Clara, an artificial friend whose ability to observe the human behavior and express the emotional understanding, challenge the traditional intuitions about the unique human consciousness. Using the theoretical perspective, Rosie Berotti and Catherine Helens and Donna Haraway, this research analyzes how the narrative reflects the key idea of the post-human, including the fluidity of the identity, relationship between the embodiment and information, and blurring the boundary between the human intelligence and machines. Through the close textual analysis, through the study, explore the theme of the empathy, moral reception, technology, meditational in the novel. The fielding suggests the Ishigro's work remaining the artificial intelligence not merely as the mechanical intelligence but as the form of the rational and ethical consciousness, ultimately raising the important question about the future of the human machine consistence in the technology and mediated worlds. These are the keywords. What is the methodology? This is the study adapted the inequality interpretation, the methodology to existence, the represent the artificial intelligence, empathy, and post-human identity. Clara and the Sun in Kazuo Ishigro's novel. Research employ the close textual reading and the artificial friend navigate the moral emotion in three theories. Introduction. We see in this novel character Clara. We represent the artificial character through the learning from the human and society. How this behavior make the advance of the human. In three perspective, we see the woman can learning from the man, and post-human is concept is the not human is the central, but is the artificial character are the explore the human and technology are now is the connected. The Clara narrative interrogate the boundaries of the consciousness, explore the how empathy and moral resonance may be extended beyond the human into the artificial beings. Literature review. These are the many other articles. These are the theoretical frameworks. Is the overall image. Critical post-humanism by the Rosie Boret is the challenge the traditional enlightenment view of the human, autonomous, rational, and the inherently supervisors. Define the identity, rational and dynamics from the through the interconnected networks of the human, machine, animal, and environment. Explore the national agency. Intelligence is the ethical responsibility between the human. Include the non-human actor and systems. In the novel, illustrates the rational identity, Clara consciousness, and the action immersion within the network, human technology, and the environment, blurring the human, machine, and boundary. In how is the connect with the Anne Catherine Helen's others second theory, how we become the post-human. Is criticize the enduring the human consciousness, information, data, and transferring the machine. Empathizing the embodiment as the essential or identity consciousness connect the existence independent of the body. Highlight the interplay between the information, materiality, human, expose the technological, meditate the work of the Clara, process the discipline, Joyce's behavior, represent yet the content, fully capture the embodiment consciousness. Third one is Donna Haraway's cyber dog theory. This theory also how the connect with the emotion and transfer human through the machine. Break down the dueling the heavy challenging the binary opposition such as the human machine and nature and technology and body and mind, enduring that these distinctions of the society construct rather than inheritance. Post-human. There's the cyber symbolizes the post-human condition, which is the intelligence, agency, and perception exist across the human, non-human form the facilitate new mode of the understanding and ethical emergence. Is the Clara immerse the machine intelligence with the human-like and emotional reception. Clara show the empathy and moral coherence, challenging the human exclusive and notion ethics. Is a cyber dog of the human machine and boundaries. Is this theory how the represent of the human and machine connectivity. In the character of this Kazuo Ishigro's novel Clara and the Sun is the embodiment of the cyber like existence, blending the artificial intelligence with the capacity of the perspective Clara and emotionally response. Or the interaction within the Joyce is the character of human character in this novel, and is human illustration hybrid identity shaped through the rational networks rather than biological origins. The novel portrays the artificial friend integrate into the social and familial structure, dissolving clear distinction between the human and machine. Clara's decision making the demonstrate agency and the disability changing the reaction of the machine and passive tools. In the context of the generosity enhance the child into AF artificial friends explain the technological and biological hybridity in the society. Ishiguro used the Clara question bring the boundary of the humanity showing the now empathy, consciousness and ethical and existent to the artificial beings. Embodiment technology and meditation and artificial identity. Clara observed the Zoiji's physical condition in the daily routine to understood the emotion and Clara is the artificial robot and Zoiji is the real 40 age of the lady character. He use the each other both friend and how is observe the emotion. Here interpretation the slide the life living the force demonstration and construct understanding of the environment blending technological data with the rational meanings. When the Clara attempt to the make a sun origin of the health choices highlight the her embodiment decision making action from the observation learning with the empathy not just programming. In the Clara artificial identity is just the rational emerging from the interaction with the human in the environment showing the her consciousness in the shaping by the concept rather than the interaction biology. In the AF embodiment the challenge the accept in the identity moral rejection in the required to the human body is not is the post-human is theory are the exist with the not required to the perfect human body but is the now artificial robots are connect with the human emotion and feelings. Through the Clara Ishiguro illustrated that the artificial being can possess the agency assumption and rational intelligence within the technologically meditate rationals. These are the overall images. Ethical agency in non-human being. How these ethics are the emerge in this the character Clara throughout the Zoiji's character and observation. Clara demonstrates the moral decision making when the prey to the son of the real Zoiji show the care beyond the program and institution. See the inaction action the protect the Zoiji such as the offering the yourself cave incident and ensure the Zoiji's well-beings. Or the empathy devise the choice of the reflect rational ethics and aligns the with the Roisi Borotis the post-human subjects theory. Clara evaluate the consciousness of the action of the human relationship, highlight the AI's capacity of the ethical reflection. The novel question whether the ethical question human by the giving a machine moral and emotional agency demonstrate the post-humanism by showing the AI's interaction into the social and moral networks. Empathy, emergent empathy and the emotional intelligence. Clara recognition the Zoiji's fear, feeling, offering the comfort and the componentship beyond the programming function. She interpret the subtle human cues and the tone, body, language, routine to the assumption the emotional needs. Clara devote the Zoiji's demonstrate the rational intelligence showing that the empathy can emerge in the artificial being. This aligned with the Anne Catherine Hale's the posthumanism enforced the theory, empathize the interplay of the information, empathy, understanding the emotion. This novel arises the question about the whatever the emotional intelligence is the biologically exclusive or the develop the AI. Clara's action, including her the careful planning to her the Zoiji's raising health, show the how can but principle in the ethical, empathic and social roles. Artificial component and rational identity. Clara from the deep emotional bond with the Zoiji's action of the both observer and the caretakers reflection that the rational construct the identity. Her the sense of the pursues the responsibility in the shape through the interaction of the Zoiji's environment and the human beings. In through the her loyalty in the care Clara through the explorified the post-human identity emerging from the rational, emotional and ethical interpretation. Artificial okay. Artificial connection of the recognition reality is how the reality environment to shape the human and artificial data. Conclusion. Clara and the Sun illustrates the post-human potential of the artificial intelligence, show the how empathy, ethical agency, rational identity and condition extends beyond the human. Ishiguro the narrative challenge the traditional human centered intuition and demonstrating the artificial being of the particular manufactured in the moral, emotional and social share the redefine the boundary of the consciousness, identity and ethical responsibility. These are my reference and thank you. Yes, sir. Now free.
If anyone have a question,
Yes, sir.
Do you agree with Clara and Son?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I agree. Because artificial intelligence, most of the develop with the human emotion and human identity, human activity, and most of the is the learning about the human activities.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
good presentation. Now further, I would like to invite Khushi Goswami, and she will present on cartography, caste and colonial modernity, a special humanities reading of the God of Small Things.
Hello everyone. Today's my paper's the topic is cartography, caste and colonial modernity, a special humanities reading of The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. So in this paper, I examine how space in the novel is shaped colonial knowledge system and caste hierarchy instead of seeing space as only as a physical location. So, in this abstract, analyze the novel through the framework of special humanities in order to understand how cartography, caste hierarchy and colonial modernity shape both social and physical space. And it draws on the special theory of Henry Lefebvre's and Edward Soja's. So according to these both scholars, space should be not as a neutral, but space is produced through social relation, power structure and historical progress. So here in this novel, Ayamenam is a town in Kerala, and the setting of the Ayamenam house, history house, and the river, which is play as a role of power structure and caste hierarchy. So these are my research question. How does the God of Small Things deploy spatial narrative strategy to reveal and contest the ideological construction of space through colonial cartographical logic, caste hierarchy and post-colonial modernity? My objectives are to analyze how space is socially and politically produced in the novel, and to examine how colonial knowledge system influence geography, social hierarchy, and to explore the relationship between caste practice and spatial organization, and to show how Roy's narrative critique colonial spatial authority. what is spatial humanities. So spatial humanity is a interdisciplinary field that combine the space, culture, history and literature. So in the traditional literature it analyze themes and character only, but here in the spatial humanities it focuses on how space is socially constructed and shaped by power relation. So in this novel spatial analysis reveals how colonial geography and caste structure organize is everyday life. So here I am using two theory. First is Henry Briefly, the production of space. So which is focused on space is socially produced through power, ideology and institution. And another one is by Edward Soja's third space. So it focus on space can become a site of resistance against dominant spatial structure. Then cartography and colonial space. So here cartography plays a important role in this research. So colonial map allow imperial authority to survey territories, organize land and control the resource. So through this mapping and landscape transformed into manageable space. So this way the map is a colonial landscape also reinforce social division. So here Arundhati Roy's critique through her narrative and also reveals how colonial cartography practices continue to shape post-colonial life. Then scientific taxonomy and colonial knowledge. So in the novel the system is represented through the character of Papaji, so who work as a imperial etymologist. So his discovery of a new species of mouth illustration is how colonial scientific institution control recognition, authority and knowledge production. So this example reveals how colonial science function as a system that reinforce imperial hierarchy and control knowledge. Then anthropology and caste geography. So colonial anthropology also contribute to the classification of human population. So here in this novel caste operates as a spatial system that regulates bodily movement and social interaction. So basically here through the character of Ammu and Velutha. So from the example we can take of Velutha, the other characters are feel untouchably from him. So because he belong from the lower caste, so this way the caste hierarchy becomes embedded within spatial arrangements. Then spatial transgression and third space. So here these rigid structure, the novel also presents a moment of spatial transgression where social and caste boundary are core. So in this novel, secret meeting of Ammu and Velutha, both are secretly meeting at History House and the Minachal River. So this represents they can so space give to escape from the society or social norms. So this way this dominant spatial order ultimately resets itself through institutional violence. So in the conclusion I found that these novel narrative challenges these structure by highlighting the experiences of marginalized character and the spaces they inhabit, and also through this representation this novel critique how colonial cartographic practice continue to shape social and geographical relation in post-colonial society. So these are my references and thank you. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask.
Any question?
Can you explain the concept of third space and how it appears in this novel?
So the third space is a space where it gives you the freedom from where you can feel your personal freedom. So for example, in this novel, character of Amu and Velutha, they both are meeting secretly at the history house. So this history house and the Minachal river and Ayamenam, these all the places are gave them to away from the society. So these places and location are represent through the third space, means place within space. So okay, this is from. Thank you.
Good presentation. Thank you, Khushi. Now we have Dhvani Rajyaguru. She will present on women in science fiction. So, Dhvani Rajyaguru.
Greetings and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dhvani Rajyaguru, research scholar, MKBU, and today I am presenting on women in science fiction, reimagined gender, power, and identity in speculative worlds. So let's begin with the introduction. So science fiction, that is basically in the 18th century, it was male-centered narrative. Early canon works by writers such as H.G. Wells and Isaac Asimov largely foregrounded scientific progress, exploration, and technological innovation, while often they have marginalized female characters. So a survey of a genre from its earliest stories and novels demonstrate that women have almost always been invisible, or they were others as writers, characters, or the reader of science fiction. And it was only after the women's movement that started in 1960s and 1970s, and then the change has begun. So the genre gradually evolved as women writers entered the field and began to reshape the thematic and ideological frameworks. Authors such like Mary Shelley, which you all have read, then Ursula, Octavia Butler, Margaret Atwood introduced a new perspective that challenged traditional gender roles and explored the question of identity, power, and role. Their works demonstrate how science fiction can
Shall I start? A very good afternoon, everyone. So today I would like to start my presentation with a very classic definition of Wordsworth on poetry. He has mentioned that poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, emotions recollected in tranquility. Today I am going to explain or present something which is very contradictory to this definition. This definition has shaped our understanding of poetry till now. We have been growing up with that. We have understood that poetry is the very essence of life.
the very essence of human emotion. We express everything through poetry. Here you can read certain phrases, words. Do you think it is poetry, or can we consider this thing as a poetry? They are just words popping up one by one. So this is my primary text for today. It is called Taruko Gorge by Nick Montfort. Now, Nick Montfort, we shall consider Nick Montfort today as Wordsworth of the day, because I had compared him with Wordsworth. Like Wordsworth, we used to read his poetry as if he used to roam and he see daffodils, he see solitary reaper, and he used to write poetries on it. Nick Montfort, in the similar manner, had strolled or was roaming in Taiwan's Taruko Gorge garden, and he saw the garden, he got inspired, he came and he just drafted certain algorithms and created a poetry generating machine through algorithms. So this is what I'm going to discuss right now. Now this is very infinite poem. I had just given a glimpse of the words popping up on the screen. If you start reading, it won't end. It is an infinite poem. So I had given the title infinite text, but it has finite code. I will explain the logic later on. And algorithmic conditionality, which I had given the name as a method, as narrative logic in Taruko Gorge, because you will find this a chunk of text as non-sequential, illogical. It may appear to certain audience whom I had asked earlier today how this text appears to you. Some of them had expressed that this dash looks familiar, Emily Dickinson style. Then it doesn't make proper sense. Like, can we consider this thing as a poetry? It doesn't have any aesthetics. How can we consider it as a poetry? It is just random scribblings. So we are going to discuss this thing today. This paper examines algorithmic conditionality as narrative principle in electronic literature. As we jump from traditional print aestheticity, the artistic expression of literature, the creative expression of literature, to machine-human intermediation, certain aestheticity, artisticity is compromised. And this kind of variance we can expect. So using Taruko Gorge, which is a primary text, as a case study, this study analyzes how lexical arrays are set of words which we give to computer. Randomization, it makes a play of words or game, and recursive loops generate textual variation through implicit conditional logic. That is what the logic is there. If we can assume that this is not structured poem, this is non-linear, this is very random, this doesn't have any logic, so we are going to make sense how it has certain logic and structure. Rather than viewing computation as purely technical mechanism, the paper treats conditional logic as a framework that shapes narrative possibility. The poem demonstrates that infinity in electronic literature arises not from the absence of structure, but from the multiplication of conditional states within predefined algorithmic boundaries. So digital poetic works increasingly, today we have seen how screens have replaced pages. People are reading on Instagram, Facebook. Terribly Tiny Tales is a page for short microfiction kind of thing. People are happy reading 30-second story and receive the meaning from that. So as and when the screens have replaced the pages, we have to ask questions like, after reading this kind of poem as well, we have to ask questions like, what counts as poetry when the lines are generated by code rather than written sequentially by an author? Because till now we were writing poetry, we were putting our entire expression, we were putting our feelings in the poem. And if we see this kind of poem, can we consider it a poem? What role does programming logic play in shaping poetic form? What constitutes the material of poetry in digital environments, language itself or algorithmic structures that produce it? So whom can we give the credit of this kind of poem? Who would be the author? Machine or human? In what ways does computation intervene in literary creation? Because literary creation till now we have assumed that it's a very pious, holy process of writing. These questions become particularly visible in generative electronic literature. This is the example of generative electronic literature, which was created in 2009 by Nick Montfort, inspired by the landscape of Taiwan's Turco Gorge Garden. And Montfort wrote the original program and is therefore regarded as work's primary author. Like you can also play with, there are various of versions. This poem is titled as Turco Gorge. People are hacking, like people who know algorithms, who understand the logic, they are hacking this work and renaming it as Toy Garage or something like that, just playing with words. Scholars till now has introduced new temporal and conditional reading dynamics that challenge print-based literary models. So, foregrounding reader interaction and computational processes as central components of meaning making. Like we have to make meaning. It's like Beckett's idea. You create your own meaning. You are free to create your own meaning. Rand's claim that fictional discourse generates its own narrative world becomes particularly relevant for generative literature, while algorithmic processes rather than narrators produce the textual statements through which works such as Turco Gorge construct continuously shifting story worlds. Like sometimes you will read pebbles, sometimes words will pop, garden, trees, flowers. How will you make sense of this? Right? The only framework you get is that of a garden, a landscape of a garden. Below there are stones, rivers, petals, above there is sky and everything. Yeah. So yes, this is what if we this infographic gives the idea. Rivers, words are flowing like river. There are three. If for the entire logic I will explain. If there are 4 verbs in the poem. Like if I insert 4 verbs, 4 nouns and 4 objects. So 4 into 4 into 4, with these words, it will create 64 combinations or variations of lines. So this is the entire logic behind our generative poem. The author can be considered as an architect because we have to give him the credit of idea generation, of course. Then you can hack your his work and create your own thing. The very thing is algorithmic conditionality. There are codes, rules and conditions. Lexical database means the way I informed you, words, verbs, nouns, etc. Algorithmic selection. This algorithmic selection will be selected by, or machine will select how random it want to produce. Generated, then these lines are generated. Algorithmic conditionality in generative literature. Rule-based computational logic. Now we cannot say it is not structured, it is not linear. There is structure, but it is behind the screen. What appears on screen cannot be considered as structured thing. It is non-linear, non-sequential even. But behind that, it has a very structured set of algorithms, codes, and even I and you people are same. We are not from science background or coding or data science background. Still, if we try and put efforts, we can understand. We are all novices in this thing. We can try and understand. Is my time over? Okay, thank you. We can still try and understand the logic behind this. Randomness operates within limits. So with limited number of words, you can create infinite lines poems. So the word bank is, there are the things you see above are bro, mist, height. Below you can see ground, water things, flow, basin, rock, trans, intrans, imper and texture. This is the entire logic behind the text. And this is the pattern, how code logic is working. Thing above plus verb plus the thing below. So this is the skeleton of the text. Generative architecture of Turco Gorge is randomized function, syntactic structure, recursive loop. You will find at least one word repeated 5 times in 50 lines. there is very limited amount of vocabulary. But algorithmic rules are designed in such a manner that random selection is done by machine and the word it recombines the words, and there is the continuous textual variation, flow of continuous textual variation. And you get surprise every time you read the poem, because no particular reading, reading can be same. The number of people reads, every reading will be different. And this is not a conventional narrative poem. We have this conventional fixed text. Wordsworth's poetry are either fixed on the page or fixed in our mind. We cannot fix these things in our mind. Even we cannot freeze the screen, because it will keep on popping up. If you will reach 25th line, the first line would disappear in order to have the flow. So yes, finite code with algorithmic conditionality, randomized recombination with the intermediation of human plus machine, this kind of work can be generated and can be, this was presented in the electronic literature collection and was appreciated and was criticized and was collaboratively worked on by number of scholars till now. So that was it. Here are the references. Thank you.
Wasted game.
Any questions? Yes, sir. We will have to, because it has codes which is a product of human mind.
Anybody who is able to generate parts of speech codes should be considered as a poet or a creative writer.
That again depends. Like with the advent of screen and digital reading, we have to make ourselves adaptable to whatever types of literature is being produced and catered to us. But again, we can consider this a fountain by R. Mutt that was presented during the World War exhibition. Like people were seriously criticizing what is this nonsense. We cannot consider it as a piece of art, but it was a piece of art, was a frustration. So this kind of literature, the writers are finding it the writers are having freedom to express certain things which we cannot, which the writers cannot just write like that. Like electronic literature was one of the reason behind emergence of electronic literature was there was this LGBTQ movement was going on in Western countries, and people were finding it difficult to communicate about that thing. So in electronic media, in personal blogs, in Instagram stories, they were posting so openly and people were accepting it. So this was one of the ideas. So adapting to certain text can be considered as a good gesture in terms of creativity and aestheticity. Yeah.
As you said, the coding is structured,
Yeah.
but the output is not. How can one comprehend the thing? What actually he is implying into the, as a center thought, what we will try to get from any poem or any artistic thing or a poem. Even there is a modern art, we have something that we can at least
The essence?
elaborate. Yeah, the
Yeah.
essence of the thing. Then how would you put it there?
We have a saying, કંઈક નવી વસ્તુ આવે ને તો જૂનીને ભૂલવું પડે. So we have this, yes, we have this back idea in our mind, the very foundation, ke everything should be meaningful, everything should have certain essence. Like we have to forget the idea kavi kya kehna chahta hai in the poem in order to make sense of our understanding of the poem.
Primary thing of creativity is that it is not meant to be understood.
Yeah.
That is the core of creativity. So when we study poetry, we are studying because we have to. When a poet wrote any form of art, it was not meant to be studied when he or she wrote it.
It was just expression.
It was just written. So what we are doing here right now is we are also trying to perhaps decode the coded things that are there, which are not required, but now creativity will have a different definition
Yes,
than
with that,
what it had earlier.
yes.
Now creativity should be synonymized with effort. Okay, you will respect any creative person if there is a sincere effort in it.
Behind it.
Earlier it was all mental. Okay, so you said that this Wordsworth recollecting tranquility thing. Okay, so we appreciate that because it was there. So the very idea of creativity is not rare now. The rarity will not be considered as creativity. Genuineness will be considered as creativity. So the definition of creativity will have to change, or else what will happen is this will in a way replace creativity in a negative way. As you said, anything that is new is there because old was supposed to be discontinued. But in what context? So this is not forced. This is for people who think that okay, this can be done. Or
Experimental kind of thing.
experiment. So experimenting and creativity will never go hand in hand.
Yes.
That is the issue. If we consider this as creative, then what is not creative in this world would be a question. Okay, if everything has to be in the sense of algorithm, then nothing will be considered creative in that sense of the term. So new sensibility with regard to creativity has to emerge against or for this rather. Not we are not against this generative thing. There is nothing wrong in this. It is wonderful in fact. But then if you are given a choice between a person who has written a poetry and a generative poetry, what would you choose? Then you would choose effort. This person has done it. This is a better version. But there is no effort.
Yep.
So creativity will be effort after 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, with all the flaws. Okay. Too much of perfection. Now, whenever I see notebook LM thing, I get
Frustrated?
frustrated. It is so perfect.
Yes.
It is so, it cannot be. It should not be. Okay. So when you create something on notebook LM or anything that you might be using, it seems so good that you fail to understand what the person who has made this understood.
So the process is missing.
Process is different. You are prompting notebook LM to do something, so there is a process. But that process is 30-70. Yours is only 30. Notebook LM is giving you 70%. When it is vice versa, that is when the game starts. It should be 70-30 on the other side. Right now, if I prompt anything to notebook LM with regard to, there was this very, I'm sorry, all of you. There was this very interesting paper in the next class on cyberpunk.
Yes.
Asha. It was all about generative AI. So when, for example, you are going to read a cyberpunk novel, you as a research scholar will be reading. But when you give a worksheet to the students, they will not be reading, they will be generating.
Yes.
So there would be a gap between the reader who has actually read it and the person who has generated something from ChatGPT or whatever, Gemini or. So creative people will be respected more because of this, not less because of this. Because there would be rarity in reading now. You see, people are not reading now.
Yes.
They are busy generating things. So when you are actually reading, a reader would be respected more after 5 years. Mark my words. Why? Because people have stopped reading. What they are doing? They are putting an abstract in ChatGPT, Notebook LM or Gamma. They are getting beautiful images and infographics and whatnot. And we consider that scholarship. That is a problem. Nothing against using it.
Okay.
It is about the gap that is widening. That becomes a problem.
Sir, I would like to defend myself in this case. With the advent of AI and everything, like we were very concerned about how human jobs will be replaced by AI at a point of time in future. Because in this IT sector, it has started happening. So my point is that if we want to make a very human machine intermediated work of art, then from the side of human, even if machine does all the work, from the side of human there would be the effort of generating the idea, and that should be original one in order to make the creative work more creative work of art. And even today we find certain people who are lacking the ability to create an effective prompt. So prompt engineering is required over there. So that each and every person, you cannot expect from a crowd to create an effective prompt for you. So in that manner, if we see, then the person who is creating creative prompt can be in a way considered as putting effort, or in a way original one. Secondly, so much AI is developing as a faster speed that we today require in IT sector, we today required the position of an AI journalist. So that vacuum has, this thing has created a vacuum. So who can manage each and every AI very effectively in order to perform the task more faster than how this other AIs are doing. So just
Correct. My point is again with regard to the specificity of literature.
creativity.
I am into that compartment right now. Those things are fine. And even in creativity, I am okay with the AI generating code. There is no problem at all. Even if I have a problem, it does not matter. I don't have a problem therefore. Okay. So then there would be a, there was very interesting research very recently done that everybody would be speaking the same language after 5 years.
Due to AI.
Almost. Because we will have a specific word count of machine words. So all of you would be actually matrix robots, clones, Robert. Everybody will have a 100-word system set. And it is actually happening right now. If you go across the entire department wherein the presentations are done, you will see the same thing. The words, the way of presentation, the way of infographics. So we are actually becoming more similar because of this. And therefore I said that the people who are actually putting effort, your argument of prompt also weakens because there would be engines who will be generating your prompts after some years. As this is very recent, 2021 to AI, so very recent. Look at the growth. So after a couple of years, you will have search engines or chatbots which will help you generate prompts just from the word that you put in there. It will give you prompts. So that prompt engineering would also die because there are chatbots. If you go in this website, there is an AI for that. That is a website. You get into that and you just have to put that I want to do this. It will give you 10, 15, 20 chatbot list. Use this. Therein you give a vague idea of what you are trying to say. And it will give you a perfect idea of what you actually meant. Yesterday in the classroom I told that when I write something, I put it in notebook LM. So that has given me sleepless nights. Sleepless nights. It told me things which I never thought while writing. And they were so correct. I did not think like that. So that the chatbots or whatever we are using are actually enhancing the point that I am trying to make, which actually I am not trying to make.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem. That was nothing against the use of it.
That's and pro of the creator.
But sir, one point, not going against you or not going defending myself anymore. You are right, but but the thing is that because we have this kind of literature or we have this kind of things, we can have a more freer discussion today, and because of AI we can think of going beyond AI if possible for some people. Thank you. Thank you everyone.
Excellent presentation. Thank you, Miss Kavisha. Thanks to all the participants, and on the behalf of the Department of English, thanks to Mr. Vimal Singh Gohil. Yes. Okay. We have time constraints.
Sir, I have two questions. First, as you mentioned that when we get to opportunity or if we get chance to choose between the generative poetry or creative poetry. In creative poetry, there is a matter of efforts in it, right? So, as you mentioned that genuinity matters. So, finding genuinity, my context is finding genuinity is different, someone else is different, everyone presenting has different context to finding genuinity in poetry. So, that is also a question today.
True.
If there is something, if there is a poetry written by a human or there is a poetry generated by AI, if I find genuinity in AI generated poet, that's become my context of giving it a chance to consider that as a poetry. And second question is that as you are for last 2 days I have observed that you are very frustrated with Notebook LM. As you mentioned that you have written few lines and give it to Notebook LM, and it has given long explanation to you. So what are those critics doing while saying that this is what Kavi wants to say? What they are doing?
So
This is what their interpretation, that their critics' interpretation, that this is one that so and so poet wants to say. Not the actually poet is saying that I want to say this or that.
true. Should I now? Okay. First question. The very concept of being genuine has to be human connected. Okay. Second, I would always appreciate the concept of effort that has gone into something as against anything that is generated if given a choice. If there is no choice, if this poem that Kavisha came up with, I like it, I will like it. There is no point whether who has written it. So I am not against this. Pehla tame e bada clear thai jao bhai. Please. I am not against the idea of using generative AI. I am all for it. In all genuineness. My point is, there would come a time wherein the very idea of generation would become so compartmentalized that બે મિનિટમાં યાર કેમ જવાબ આપણે અડધો રાખીએ. બીજો તમારો જે ઓબ્ઝર્વેશન હતું, સેકન્ડ ઓબ્ઝર્વેશન, I am not frustrated with Notebook LM. I myself use it in the classroom. My frustration is another thing. My frustration is when you generate it, do you actually go through the entire of it? That is my frustration. My frustration is not use of it. But once it is generated, do you actually go through exactly what is put forward by Notebook LM, or do you just browse through it? If you browse through it, that is a problem. If what is generated is rechecked, I am all for it. But you don't answer me, you answer it to yourself, and you is impersonal here. I am not talking about you, I am talking about everybody. When you generate an image from Notebook LM, do you actually go through the entire thing written there or not? And the answer to it would be no. There is where the problem starts actually. I love Notebook LM. On record.
Thank you, Vishal sir. And thanks to all, and thanks to all one and all present here. And we are concluding this session here. So thank you so much.